what's happening. Every teacher, every administrator, they see what's happening. And it's just time for us to take action. I mean, whatever you need from me, the footwork, you know, that's why God called the young, because we're strong. So whatever you need for us to do, for me to do, whoever I need to reach out to bring to these meetings to get involved so we can start taking full force action. My family is the Houstons, Mother Houston, Kathy Houston, Gal Houston, Joe, that's my family. I come from, so we are history in Hempstead. We are Hempstead. So it's time, you know, that, you know, it's just, I feel like crying because Hempstead has always been prideful. You know, I come to my homecoming, I see it's just divided. We are so divided as a people. We are so divided amongst each other, segregated amongst each other, from the security, from everybody. We just so, you know, you can't even get a greet from a teacher no more in the school. You know, you don't get those, you don't get that feeling anymore. So, I mean, whatever is needed, you know, for me to do, you know, I want to be involved, but it's just, when I do try, it's just so much politics, you know. I want to be somewhere in the mix with these children, you know, to help, you know, to build back this community. And I know it's not going to happen overnight, but I know my daughter graduated in 2017. I want her to be here for that, you know. It's just so much. We flip a coin every day. Should we leave? Should we stay? Should we go? You know, I sent my son away because I didn't want him to deal with what was going on now. Like, for a male growing up in Hempstead, it's a gamble now, you know. You roll the dice with him, you know. You want to know if you're going to be all right. Well, I got to run up to the school and fight with you, you know. So I want to bring my son back here, you know, but I have to see a change. We have to just know that there's a change taking place. So whatever's needed, you know, I just wanted to say that, you know, because it hurts, you know, hearing these things that's taking place. And my daughter possibly being deprived of a decent, good education she should be getting because we pay for it. We pay for it.
We do. And it's everything that you said, the people that have gathered here tonight are going to do this. Are you Gail's son?
That's my grandmother.
Gail is your grandma?
Yeah, Alex is my father.
Wow.
So let me just ask you this. So what you say basically is, from what I can gather, that this community has been targeted, basically.
This community
has been targeted. You know, in other words, that all of these things that are being, all of these buildings, that they're getting these breaks, these unbelievable breaks, all of this is that, and as you spoke of regentrification, so basically, Hempstead has been targeted as...
Hempstead is prime, and it always has
right,
been.
and that's what I'm saying. So basically, what, and I say this, what do we need to do? What do I need to do? If I live over on Parsons Drive, I plan to stay there for a while. I do not want to be driven out by taxes that are ungodly, all of those. So what do? We need to bring a class action suit? What do we need to do?
I think that one thing we need to do tonight is form a committee, and we have to do some research. We have to do some groundwork.
Okay.
And then we can come up with a plan.
Okay.
We don't want to be reactionary. No, we really don't. We want this to be a well thought through plan. We know the crux of the value of your home depends on the educational system in your community. We have to fix this. And there are a lot of great, intelligent people that work here in the community. And we have to figure out how we're going to make it work. We got to play the hand we're dealt. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We have to play the hand we're dealt, but how are we going to play the hand? You know, the only way we can win this is if we partner together. Okay. If you're playing Bid Wish, you want a partner that can play.
Got to go to Boston.
So we want partners. We want a partner tonight and figure out how to play this game. We have to do it. We have to do it. Everybody in this room has a vested interest in doing it. And so we just have to make up our mind that we're going to do it. This is a young man. Most of our children, my daughter's in Alabama. We raise our children and then they can't stay here. They can't afford it. Right? Gail is his grandmother's mother. His great-grandmother was my mentor. You know, I mean, we're talking about generations in here. How many people in this room graduated from this high school? Look at that. is amazing to me. And we cannot let them destroy what belongs to us. This belongs to us. We are seriously a part of this community. You know, we are tigers. I was a tiger cub before I was a tiger, you know? And so we gotta fix it. We have to fix it. So,
Can I ask you a question?
yes.
Does the village have anything to do with the school? Is that two separate entities?
I believe that that's a big part of our problem. That misnomer. How could the village not have anything to do with the school, and how could the school not have anything to do with the village? That is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard in my life, because it's the quality of life. The village can't be any greater than the school.
Because the reason why I'm asking that question is because I go to a lot of village board meetings. And if somebody comes up and they ask a question about the school board, the first thing the man says is, the village has nothing to do with the school board. And to me, that sounds totally ridiculous.
If you go to Glen Cove, to a village meeting or a school board meeting, they interact. It's a working community, and they do very well. If you go to Rosalind, if you go to Manhasset, if you go to Great Neck, there's no successful community that separates their community government from school government.
But was it always like that in Hempstead? Or is this something new?
Well, I know one thing, the school district wasn't always like this.
No, I'm talking about, say, in the
And the
last
village
10
didn't
years.
always look like this. You walk through the village, there's no grass where grass is supposed to be, but through the sidewalks, there's grass growing everywhere. There's some dysfunction in even just seeing that. You know what I'm saying? And so if it was like that, and it is now, and it worked then, it's not working now. So the two municipalities have got to come together and come up with something. And since we are the people that live here, that pay the taxes, we have to make sure that that happens. You know, I mean, I go to so many meetings, you know, I don't want to go to the village meetings. But I just started going again because we're interrelated, we intertwine. We can't separate the two. And so as homeowners, I implore you to, you know, we have to be active in both arenas. We have to be. Because what we're doing right now on both levels is not working for us. If it doesn't work for us, it's not going to work for our children. If it doesn't work for our children, it's certainly not going to work for our children's children. So what are we doing? Are we sacrificing, and am I sacrificing paying $16,000 to $17,000 a year? My taxes are more than people's mortgage payments in other places. So that when my child graduates from Hempstead, she goes to Alabama to live? Because she can't afford to live here? Really, what are we doing? And what are we going to do about it? You know, it's up to us. So I think that we need a committee that's going to seriously look at these issues. The superintendent has made a commitment. Like I said, she gave me a printout of the enrollment by address. You guys have to see it. I'm telling you. I mean, I just got stuck on the apartments. 4 families.
Well, I think we all know that without looking at that paper that you're talking about. Because I'm not trying to be funny, but
it's
you
proof.
can see that. Yeah.
And so now we have to have a commitment to fix our registration policies, because we have to fix things internally before we can go out and take them anyplace else. We have to make sure that we have our ducks in a line here. And you have to make sure you hold us accountable. We're real bad about that in here, you know, because it's a small community. Like when he said who he was, and I was like, we know everybody. You know, you connect the dots, so you don't want to make trouble for somebody that you know have this connection with down through the years. You know what I mean? And that's what we do, but we got to get past that, because that is what's killing us. If somebody does wrong, I don't care if it's Uncle Bobo's son. We got to correct it. It's the only way we're going to get it right. So,
just an example you were saying in terms of the village and the district working together. Here it is, with my understanding, with the revitalization project that's taking place within the next 10 years, billions and billions of dollars. At least as my understanding, no one has reached out to the superintendent of the district within the planning stages. The district has not been a part of that conversation.
That's what I've
They
heard.
don't plan for us to be
And
here.
then the impact that will have on the school is enormous. That's an example, as you're saying, there has to be
Yeah, because if
Portion
you
of
go
it.
to the village board meetings, you already know that the Incorporated Village of Hempstead wants nothing to do with the village board. And to me, that sounds absolutely crazy.
The Board of Education, the superintendent and the administration, and you, the power in the community, we have to hold each other accountable. And superintendent, when you get notification of these meetings, or if you get notification of these meetings, we have to inform each other, and we have to be there. And if I have to work, it's okay, because somebody that may not have to work can be there, but we have to be there. And we have to organize and come together. We probably need a workshop. We need several workshops so that together we can learn the information that we have to learn to equip ourselves. Because knowledge is power.
Always.
That's why we don't want our children. That's why for years we've been training our kids to go to jail. It's been systematic because they don't want our children to have the knowledge. And we've been sitting back allowing it to happen, and we just can't do that anymore. And so since we understand that knowledge is power, tonight we're going to formulate a committee. We have all these educators so they can help us come up with a curriculum so that once we get the information, we can do workshops and share it. The only way as a community we're going to get through this is if we educate ourselves and attack this head on. I went to a meeting about 8 years ago. Was it 7, 8 years at Nagasaki? Were you with us that night, Tony? When they first started this redevelopment. And it just kicked in the other day. When we were asking these people these questions, they said to us, we're bringing our own schools. The other day I was in the shower and I said, did they tell us all those years ago that they were bringing in their own schools? That's what they said. So now they won't meet with the superintendent, they won't meet with us, because the plan was for them to bring in their own schools. And let me say this. The other day, I think I told the superintendent, all the changes, all the investigations, all the media attention, all these things are by design. Because in another year, I believe people that have a lot of money, they don't do like us. Oh, I think I'll open a business tomorrow. They don't do that. They have 10, 20, 30-year plans. And so what if, and this is a what if, this is Shelley's vivid imagination, what if they targeted Hempstead to see if we could take over public schools and put businesses in there and make them charters? So then the people who live in the community would keep the burden, the financial burden, but we would take their real estate. And if we keep doing what we're doing, that's what they're getting ready to do. You understand? We can't. We can't. If we don't reach out to our neighbors and we don't reach out to people, and we can't reach everybody, because everybody's head, like the brother said, is not there. But for those that are, it's enough of us. If we joined our forces. Because, most people are not going to get involved until they see what you got going on is really going on and that you really can do it. And then they'll join you. So the people that get that, we have to get together. We have to join our forces. We have to learn together. And we have to understand that our children deserve the best. And that lies within our hands. We can do that. We can do that. Homeowners. Do you know in Hempstead, 78% of the population rent? So that means that this small number right here, because everybody else is renting. You already made a giant step of courage. That takes some courage. And so we have to do this. And I am not supposed to be doing all this talking. This is listening tour. So I need to hear from you guys.
Before you do, Shelley, may I?
Yes.
Just real quick. Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late. My name is, for those of you who, yeah, I'm sorry. For those of you who don't know, my name is Ricky Cook. I'm a member of I'm a member of the Board of Education here in Hempstead. And the first thing I want to say was, Mr. Ravenel, I don't think Glenn is going to like the fact that you told how old he is, first of all.
He doesn't have a choice.
I know you the man.
He may be taller than me, but like my mother used to say, I'll get on the ladder and knock them out.
See, the thing is, you probably don't remember me, but I used to be at your home because Glenn and I went to school together. The other thing I wanted to share is that when, you were saying that you're, Mr. Jones, you were talking about a couple of things. You were talking about, first of all, you were an entrepreneur, and I really respect that. And you are well known in this community because I definitely know who you are. And we talked about age a moment ago. I was 19 when you was born, so that scares me a little bit. Shelley talked about her being the first class in this building. Well, this young lady right here, because I'm not going down by myself, we went to school together, and we were the first class to be in this school for 4 years, all 4 years, in Hempstead High School.
That was in 1988.
Yeah, it was 89. But what I want to also say is that when people talk about the village and the school board, one of the reasons that they don't want to make that connection is because, first of all, everybody wants to point fingers. No one wants to take responsibility or accountability for what's going on. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in the village, as well as a lot of stuff obviously that's going on here in the school board. So they don't want to take responsibility, so everybody's pointing fingers. So when you hear people say we have nothing to do with the school board, that's really not what they mean. What they mean is I don't want to take responsibility for what's going on. One of the other things that you might not be aware of is that we as a school district directly affect your taxes. When people look for homes, the first thing that they want to know is what kind of school district is there. In 2004, I left New York and I went to South Carolina. Before we got to South Carolina, we were researching the school districts before we researched where the house was going to be. There are people who are coming from this country from places like China, and they look at specific school districts and they purchase homes sight unseen based on the school system. So don't let anybody fool you if you don't have children here, or to tell you that the village has nothing to do with the school district, because that's definitely not true. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that we need people like Mr. Jones. We need people like Ms. Lake, who are younger than we are, to have to carry on what it is that we're trying to do. We need that. So what we're going to do, what I'm going to do, I can speak for myself, and I'm sure that Trustee Shelley Brazeley feels the same way. There are certain people in this community that we need to keep close. We need to share certain things. And we need to bring people along that's going to be able to continue or participate in the process that we're having to deal with. That's very, very important, because in the past what it's been is like, this is my show. I don't care if there's anybody there. I'm not training anybody. I don't care who's coming behind me or whether or not there's anyone that's coming behind me. It's extremely important that we have people who are like-minded, who want to learn, who are younger than us,
Yes.
because that's just
carry on.
extremely important.
That's true.
And see, what happens to a lot of our younger folk is that because they've been kind of shunned, they get frustrated and they say, well, the heck with it. They throw up a coin, as my brother here said, and they try to determine whether they're going to stay here or not. And I get that. I understand that. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to fix it. And Superintendent Johnson has been extremely helpful as it relates to getting things together to helping us try to fix this situation that we're in. So I just wanted to share that. Number one is that Glenn's going to be upset at Dad for saying how old he is. Number two, I was 19 when you was born, and I appreciate you being here, because we see each other in the barbershop all the time. We see each other at different places. And the fact that you and your wife are here means a lot. And we have to get people like you all to participate in what it is that we're doing. All right, so again, Ms. Brazeley, what she was saying, we're going to open it up for whatever comments or questions that you might have, because we're not supposed to be talking that much. Hey, Ruthie, I see you back there. So, the floor is open.
I came here from the South Bronx. When I came here, I thought my grandmother brought me to heaven. Okay? We had grass, living room, backyard, we did barbecues, all that. And in the last 20 years, I've watched Hempstead go down. Not just the schools, the village itself. Hempstead is a cash cow. okay? Everybody wants to come to Hempstead. Everybody wants to teach here. Nobody wants to live here. Everybody wants to teach here. Everybody wants to come and work here for the village. The highest paid people that work for, that are employed by the village of Hempstead, they don't live here.
That's right.
Once they make over $60,000 a year, they are out. Okay, it shouldn't be that way. We should be able to work here in our village, stay here, and like you said, bring the young people under us. But the way things are now, we can't retire. Some of us will work until we're 70 or until we drop dead. It shouldn't be like that. When we get around 65, we should be able to retire and these kids should take over our jobs. But we can't do that. Because everybody's cashing in from us and we're not getting nothing from it. But believe me, somebody's getting paid.
I have to say this, I work in Hempstead, but I live here too, and I made a conscious decision when I got ready to buy my house that it didn't make sense for me to take my money to Baldwin to Freeport. I need to leave it here in Hempstead, and I've been really quite happy with that. But I've noticed, like you said, I've been in Hempstead, bought my house on, it's been almost 20 years, but I've noticed in the last 20 years, not really the last, about the last 10, but in the last 8 or 5 years, Hempstead has just gone, you know, it's just like you can almost see what they're talking about. All of a sudden, now you have these apartment buildings shooting up out of nowhere. You know, now you go down the street and you see, like, you know, the road needs to be repaired. And when it snows, forget it. If you're not on a county road, they don't shovel the snow. The snow's, so, you know, I am upset because for me, I made a decision to stay here, and the state, as I say, I really feel like has targeted Hempstead for just what you said. Money is a cash cow, and so for me, I come back to what I said. If you need somebody to go against the state and class action suits for the kinds of things that they're doing here, I'm all for that. And I really have to agree with Mr. Cook. I'm so glad to see you here.
Yes.
And Tina here, because you know what?
That's right.
As people say, you're the youth. You know, you know, I never tell people my age. I'm always 38. No matter what. Whenever people ask me, I'm 38 years old. That's it. But you know what? Y'all are gonna carry it on. And you know what? Once it gets started and y'all are there, you're the ones that can stop it from happening in 10 years. Because in 10 years from now, hopefully I'll still be here, but I won't be able to get out like I'm doing now. But you'll be able to keep it right. And that's what we need. We need for people in the state to know, and these people who are coming and building these homes, these apartments like this gentleman is talking about, who are getting these tax breaks, they need to know, take it somewhere else. Don't bring it here.
So Matt, I'm sorry. Does anybody here, can anybody tell me the reason that Hempstead is a prime target? Does anybody know? What do you think?
Prime property?
I'm sorry?
We right up with a hub. You can get in and out of Hempstead.
Please say, that's not the reason.
Okay.
The reason that we're targeted, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, Superintendent
Let's
Johnson.
try lack of resistance.
That's part of it. But this is the deal. Nowhere else can you go that people allow this to happen. They know that we don't vote. They know that 78%, was that the number, are renters. They know that we just won't do anything. It's a lack of resistance. I live off of South Franklin Street. You go down South Franklin Street today, you see all these signs with Rice and all these other people who are running next week. Why are they wasting their signs here? We don't vote. But they put them there anyway. The reason that this happens is because we don't do anything about it. That's why it happens. There are some vacant houses on my block that have been there long before I got there. And when I got there, I started asking questions. I'm like, well, why is it that burnt out house is still over there and people are running in and out of it? Why is that house is unsecured with nobody living in it and we're seeing people running in and out of there, squatters and so on and so forth? Don't y'all care? So I had to be the one to go down to the village, and now they're doing something about it. The point that I'm making is the reason, yes, We're talking about being the hub. Yes, we're talking about transportation. Yes, all of those things are good, but Garden City has the same proximity to all of those things. It's not happening there. You know why? Because they're not going to allow it. We sit back and we accept whatever you give us.
This is true.
Whatever you give us. That's why. So that's the reason why I ran for the school board. Because I want to try to find out, what can we do? Not what can I do. What can we do to change things for the better? Doesn't matter where you're from. You're here now. And we got to deal with it. But until we have, as Superintendent Johnson says, display that resistance, it ain't going to happen in our neighborhood. It's going to continue to happen here. And it just might be too far gone now. I don't know.
No, never too
I don't know.
Never too late.
I don't know. But if we don't do anything, it absolutely will be, is my point. It absolutely will be if it's my point. That's the reason this stuff happens to us, because we allow it. You could be in your house, and if your boyfriend or your husband or your wife or girlfriend says something, I ain't having that. But how about all the other stuff that happens outside your house?
Yeah, but you can do something.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I have to be very honest with you. We had someone on our block who put in a illegal basement apartment. We reported him.
That's what's supposed
We
to.
reported him. Now, you know, you got to do that. You know, we just reported him. You can't have it. I can't have it. I pay too much. I can't have it. That's just it. You know?
That's my point.
But people have to step up, and it's about becoming involved, really, and saying, I have to do this because it's the right thing to do. If my area is zone 1A, then it should stay 1A.
This is
That's
my
it.
point.
But Ricky, the
Yes, sir.
really, Hempstead was targeted 35 years ago. It didn't just start, okay? And I'll give you some input on Brooklyn and Harlem. Okay, 40 years ago, when they start with Harlem on Lenox Avenue, they start building a divider, trees and everything there. It was targeted then, and the village was targeted 35 years ago, and those that knew it did very well. And I'll give you some input on that. Around 30 years ago, my daughter and I went to a meeting, were very interested in laundromat, okay? And as you can see what happened, okay? Laundromat popped up all over, because the people with the money and the knowledge that go to meetings, deal with politicians, they knew what was coming. One of our problems is that we don't go to meetings to find out what's coming down. And this didn't just start it started more than 40 years ago. Harlem was a burnt out neighborhood. What happened with the landlords in Harlem, they stopped paying tax. Otherwise, they sucked all the money out of the building, and they stopped paying tax. Next thing you know, you had a ghost town. And the reason for that is those landlords who knew exactly what's going to happen when they stop paying taxes is that, let's tear all the building down, we will come back and build other building, and then on 110th Street in Manhattan Avenue, I worked on a project there that a studio apartment is $810,000. Fifth Avenue, 116th Street between 5th and Lenox Avenue, a one-bedroom apartment there is $1.7 million. They didn't just start this and say, well, let's just go in and out. It's planned a long time in advance.
Let me just share this with you. You're right. But I just want to share this. When I'm healthy, my resistance is strong. When I don't have there's no cause or anything because I'm healthy, I don't smoke, I don't do this, I work out, blah, 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 blah. My resistance is high. But the more I let myself go, the lower my resistance becomes. And what I'm saying to you is that you're absolutely right. We were targeted 35, 40 years ago, or whatever it was, but the resistance then was stronger than it is now. Over years, over time, that resistance became lower and lower. And those people who wanted to take over, they're patient. They sit back and they chilling. Yeah, sooner or later. And what happened? It became sooner or later. So now you see the things that we're seeing today. So you're absolutely right. We were talking it a long time ago, but the resistance was so much higher then than it is right now. And that's the reason why you see it now when you didn't see it as much before.
Yeah, no,
You know, this is a tremendous opportunity for us. I think we're in a good place. I think we are. I think we ask for what we want. And I ask God for power to get through this, you know, and wisdom and anointing so that we can figure it out, you know, together. Because no one person can do it. If we don't do it together, we might as well just give up. But I don't believe for a second that we're in a place that's hopeless. You know, I see our children, I see our communities and people, we don't have youth centers, we don't have this, we don't have that. We have 9 schools. And why can't we keep our schools open until 8 or 9 o'clock and provide those activities for our children? We really do have the power within to do every single thing that we want to do. We have the resources, and there is not a more creative group of people on the planet. We can make it happen. We really, really can. If you have any more questions, please, you know, stand now so that we can take the questions. We're going to have sign-in sheet so that we can have it's a sign-in sheet next to the sign-in sheet somewhere if you want to be on the committee that's going to help us do the research and educate each other so that we can move forward. Please indicate that on that sign-in sheet. I thank God for the young people that's here. You really are. You know, it's you guys. You guys have the strength. You know what I think. So, are there any other questions or comments, concerns? Please, you know, state them now.
You were saying that, you know, our school should be open for the for our children, you know, to 8 or 9. Like, why is it, you know, impossible? Like, it's not possible for it to happen now.
It's not impossible.
Right.
Resources are an issue.
Right. Okay.
And so, but I had a dance program for 12 years at the Salvation Army, which was very, very successful. It was successful because I trained parents to help me. So me and the parents, we didn't get paid, but we were able to hire top quality dance instructors. And we had a very good program. You know, we have to make some sacrifices. Our parents volunteered. Our parents did things. And we were exposed to things because our parents made them available. Not because they had a lot of money, but they had a lot of ingenuity. So why can't we give of ourselves and give some hours so we can? You know, I mean, and you know, whether you volunteer or not, you got to go through some things. We got to do a background check and all that stuff on you too, because we can't have anybody around our children, right? That just makes sense. But we can volunteer and we can do things so that we can bring activities and resources to our children. We can do it. A lot of us have, you know, some of us know, some of us can teach an upholstering class. Some of us can teach a sewing class. So we have gifts and we can't keep them to ourselves. When you die, they go with you. So you have to share them. So our children don't have, in many instances, because we're not a giving people anymore. We had a youth center in my garage on Bird Street. You know, I mean, there were no activities. There was nothing on the hikes. You know, there was nothing on the hikes. My mother made our garage into a youth center. We used to have fashion shows and all that stuff. We practiced right in the garage.
Had Malcolm X Center.
We did have a Malcolm X Center for a little bit of time.
Foundation on the hill.
Right on Harvard and Union. We did. But when we did, and that was a couple of years. And those were college students. That was Alan Dunkley and those guys, you know, that were in college at the time. And they came back and ran those centers. You know, we really got to get back to those basics. And understand, our children have to understand you're responsible for giving back your time. And they have to see us do it. And if they don't see us do it like we saw our parents do it, what are they going to do? They're going to do even less. So I really think that tonight was a tremendous opportunity for us to talk and talk ourselves through some things. The one thing that we know for sure is that we owe it to ourselves and our children and our community. You know, I love this place. That's why I'm still here. I don't have to be here. I could be anywhere, but our children need to see positive things as well, you know? And so I choose to stay, like you all choose to stay. A lot of hands went up when I said, who graduated from this school? A lot of hands went up. So tonight, we know we need committees. We know we need a research team. We know we need to train ourselves and understand what pilots mean to us, what all of these things mean to us as a community, so that we can share, once we've done the legwork, we can share it with the community and organize ourselves and combat this stuff. We don't have to take it. We don't have to take it.
Let me ask you a question now. All of the meetings that you were talking about before, can you look on the internet to find out when those meetings are so you could attend if you want to attend? Or could somebody, I don't know, email the times and the places that all these meetings occur so people can go?
The village meetings are posted.
I'm not talking about the village, I'm talking about those.
Usually when they have those IDA meetings, you know, they hold them when you can't come.
When
and
you're
if
at
they
work,
get word
10
that a
o'clock
lot of
in the
people are
morning.
coming, they will cancel them. You know, and so it's it's very difficult.
Because the door was locked. They
Yeah,
didn't even have the door open.
Mm.
And it's a public meeting.
those
The door
meetings are
was
very
locked.
tricky. That's
People
right.
arrived.
That's right. So you know, if everything was above board, it would be above board. But
Right.
those meetings tend not to be. And again, they're held by the town and the county. Yes, sir.
I think that, because I attend some of those meetings, what we have to do with the IDA is each civic, someone from each civic association should be able to attend a meeting as your civic. I think if we put that together, then we can achieve something.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Now, each member from each civic association should be able to attend the IDA meeting.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, and I think if we do that, if you attend the meeting as a civic instead of an individual, I think you'll achieve much more. So we will start working on that with civic association, that we can find. A lot of people in civic are retired, so they usually hold this meeting, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the daytime, and the average working person, people can't go. But I'm sure we could find a member from each civic that can attend the meeting.
Because those meetings are every second Tuesday of the month, which I go to.
The village meeting.
No, the civic association,
civic
where
ones.
all the civics associations in Hempstead come together.
HCTF.
That's every second Tuesday of the month in the library with the mayor. So if you want me to mention that at the next meeting,
Yes.
mention it.
Thank you.
We truly appreciate it. As I had indicated, I'm Susan Johnson, Superintendent of Schools. The last 5 working days for the district have been a challenge for us here. In case, I don't know, some of you were here with us last week when we had our first forum, but in a matter of 5 working days, we've been investigated from the state education level. They sent in a team to investigate our special education department. We had another team that came in and investigated our registration department. And the third team that came in from the state education department did an investigation of our bilingual department. And I say this because each meeting we started in the superintendent's office, and on one side were the representatives from the state, and on my side were members who serve in my cabinet. And what is unfortunate about this process, you could see if you've been around long enough, because if my service was continuous, it would be 41 years in education. You watch them and you say, well, how long have you been in this position? 3 weeks, 1 week. And I'm pointing this out because there's a desperation on the state education department level to investigate Hempstead. And they don't even have the people in place but they're throwing people together to come in to investigate us. Our first report came back in already from one investigation. Wasn't bad, it wasn't good, they just didn't say anything. But they took up a lot of time. We had to produce a lot of documents. There were no suggestions. They really had nothing to say because technically they were in over their head and they didn't know what to say to us. And always before leaving, you'll ask them a very simple, basic question. I believe in going back to the basics. Well, you know, after we've responded to all your questions, do you have anything you'd like to say to us? Do you have any suggestions? You have any recommendations? Do you have, there you go. No, no. And it's sad, but I'm a fighter. I didn't graduate from this building. I graduated from the one that's the middle school in 1969, okay? All right, there's a history there. And we don't give up easily. And I want you, as you walk out this door after this evening, you just can't give up. We gotta get that second win. We gotta fight because it's a struggle. And you just can't roll over and you just can't give in. You just can't sacrifice like that. Hempstead is a beautiful place, and when I was here, I was a minority. We were 70% white and 30%, African American. So I know what it's like, but you just can't give up. It's a struggle, it's a fight, but it's one we have to do every day to succeed here in Hempstead. And I want to thank you once again for coming out.
Superintendent, yes, this one over here. I had the privilege of meeting, along with Ms. Spleen and another parent, to meet with the Deputy Superintendent of the Department of Education.
It's not a privilege.
And, well, yeah, it wasn't a privilege, you're absolutely right, Ms. Spleen, because it was not a privilege. And let me add that what Ms. Johnson might say, whether we agree with her or not, whether we agree with the school district or not, these people are coming in, and one of the main questions we ask is, what is your immediate plan for what's going on in our school district? And might I tell you, he had none. He had none. What recommendations, what are the Department of Education doing? They had none.
Fundings, we also asked them about
Funding, we're working on it. This came from them directly. We're working on it. So we want to sit there, and I fight with Miss Superintendent. I fight with get me. We fight. Well, I just fight. I just fight. If they look at me wrong, we fight.
Yes.
But it and I must apologize because I ain't apologizing. I was glad I fought. But it's sad to know that we, as a people, that we don't come together and stick up for what we believe in. We sit back and we allow people to dictate to us as to what it is that we want, and don't nobody know what we want more than we who live it.
That's right.
And we need to really, after that meeting, I must say, I walked out and I said, you know what? We, the education department, the school board, everybody needs to, superintendent office, we all need to do the right thing for us, because I'm telling you, they're not doing the right thing for us. They're sitting there and they're waiting for us to fail. I left that meeting and I said, if we don't start sticking up for ourselves, we gonna fail. And I don't know about nobody else, but I'm saving college money for my 3 babies, not bail money.
Come on.
Anytime anybody decides to let me start saving bail money, I'm coming at them with all guns drawn. And I don't care if it's the commissioner, because I'm going at him. And when I go at him, I'm going at him with cannons, not guns. Well, I'm gonna find it because I'm gonna put it out there. Because I'm really, and it doesn't matter whether it's black, whether it's Hispanic, I'm going to say they do not care about our children. They don't care about Hempstead, and they don't care about our children. So it's time, whether this one parent's fight or that one parent is involved, let's all start fighting for the same cause, which is the betterment of every last one of our children. Other than that,